My name's Shaquan, but a lot of people know me by my other name, Mad Skillz. I'm an MC.
My name is Mad Skillz. Paris, make some noise!
I'm a DJ.
Oh, yeah!
I'm a ghostwriter for some of your favorite rappers. I'm not about to tell you who, though. But most importantly, I'm a hip-hop enthusiast. HipHopConfessions is raw, unfiltered conversations with my friends revealing things that they didn't like, never knew about,
I don't know.
or never got into about hip-hop culture. So sit back.
Oh, come on, y'all.
Turn up the volume.
Hip-hop.
And listen to HipHopConfessions. Because everybody's got one.
Here's a little story that must be told.
And it goes a little something like this.
Yo, what up, world? It's your boy, Mad Skillz, and we are here. This is my podcast, Hip Hop Confessions. Y'all already know what we do. Y'all know what we discuss. We discuss confessions that are things that you don't know, things that behind the scenes you didn't know that happened, all types of shit, you know what I'm saying? We done been through hell and high water with some of these confessions, and sometimes they just turn out to be good conversations. I got one of my homies on the phone. I've known this guy for a while. I said on the phone, but it's not really on the phone. But I've known this guy for a minute, man. An amazing producer. Produced a song for me back in the day called Where I've Been on the $1 Million Backpack. And I'm so grateful that I ain't even really had no budget. He still let me get that beat because I love that beat. Man, listen, done work with Jay-Z, Rick Ross, Dr. Dre, Wiz Khalifa, Freeway, J. Cole, like the list goes on, man. Straight out of Seattle, the 206, representing the homie Jake One. What's good, brother?
Thank you for having me, man. It's crazy. We really go back to when I started.
Yeah.
Like, it's not too many people that I still like know from that era that are still doing their thing. I mean, I'm sure even crazier for you. You just like,
yeah, man.
You look back on it and you be like, damn, man, I felt like it was a whole different lifetime. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And to see your progression, man, and the things that you've been able to accomplish, still staying true to yourself and your sound is amazing, bro. Like every time I look up and I see produced by Jake One, or sometimes shit, it don't even say it no more. Sometimes I just follow you on the gram and you be like, yo, grateful to have got this one in with so and so, and I'm like, oh shit, Jake did that. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah,
good vibes, man.
That's my specialty. I enjoy being part of shit people don't expect me to be part of. I feel like that's what I'm good at this point.
Yeah. Nah, man. Listen, you've racked up an amazing amount of music that's in your catalog, and you've been able to keep food on your table and take care of your family by doing what you love. And I can relate to that in so many ways. So
right.
we are blessed. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
To still be able to do what we doing at this level, at this day and age. You know what I'm saying? To still be able to do what we love and sit down in front of computers and machines and make something that from nothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a beautiful feeling, man. So, yeah, I'm happy to have you here, bro.
Yeah, I've been checking the podcast out. I usually agree with the controversial takes. Like, I thought, what was the one you had? Dion and was Cannon on that one with you?
It was Dion and KP. No ID.
KP. There you go. Yeah. That was because they really seen it off in the beginning.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah,
and I was
one,
like, that was a really good one. I was like, damn.
That one and that was one of my favorites. And the first one when we came back as a podcast where I had Guru on, Young Guru, and my homie Harold Lilly, and Guru was saying that when he first heard El Segundo, he hated that shit. You know
I'm kind of with him on that. That wasn't all right. So if you think about it, like that sounds nothing like the album. Like I remember getting the album and be like, oh, this is totally different. Like if they would have led with Bonita Applebum or something more reflective of like the sound of the album, Footprints or something.
Yeah. Because it's like Guru's looking like, yo, y'all almost fucked the whole bag up behind this one song. You know what I'm saying?
He is definitely right on that.
Yeah, in those days, you didn't know if you was getting a second single. So to risk on the first one, And shout out to Tribe, man. We're all big Tribe fans, and, shout out to them and getting the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nomination this year. So
well-deserved.
Yeah, well-deserved. So, yeah, man, back to the song that, me and you did. I remember, I don't even remember how I got the beat. I don't know if you sent it to me or I happened to hear it, But I knew when I heard it, I was like, man, I love this song. Like the chord progressions, the hop on the drums.
Right.
And I remember hitting you up very humbly, like, listen, man, I'm on E1 Records, bro. I only got so much money, man, but I love this beat, you know. And I remember pleading. I remember my plea was out, and I told you everything from jump. I was like, this is what it is. This is what I got, and this is what I'm able to do. And I remember you hit me back like the shortest, sweetest message. You was like, it's all good, bro. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, I was just like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it turned out to be such a good record, man. And it was, you know, it was the first song on that album. And it kind of just encompassed all of my travels. I was traveling with Jazzy Jeff at the time. You know, I was on my second passport. I had been all over the world and to, you know, taking a bunch of pictures and videos and, you know, sitting there just watching that, you know, watching the world. That beat just sounded so worldly to me. So I still thank you for that day. I still perform that song.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
you know what I mean?
I think as a producer, whatever, you're a rapper, whatever you're doing, like if you go back with somebody, like you're supposed to do that. You know what I mean? Like, how's I gonna hit you? Like, nah, I only get 15,000 every time I turn the machine on this time. Like, it just doesn't work that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I do think me doing stuff like that for people or friends, it comes back. Like I get money sometimes. I'm like, this was some bullshit. I didn't deserve this, but you know, it's the way. It's the way the universe pays you back, you know, just for being a good person. Just common decency, right? I know it's rare in the field we're in, but you know, I try to keep it going until, you know, you get poked too many times and then it's sometimes you spaz out, you know. So
it warrants what it warrants.
Right.
And one of my favorite joints that you did, and it was super close to me because I remember having the beat before they had it, was the Three Kings. Which in turn turned to, you know, Jay-Z, Dr. Dre, and Rick Ross. And I had that beat, you know what I'm saying, sitting on my hard drive. Like, I had that track and I used to listen to it. It didn't have the beginning in it, the switch up in the beginning, but it definitely had the bulk of the beat. And I had been around Dre, you know, but I never heard that particular song. I had worked with Dre and did some writing on some things, you know, that never materialized. And I remember when I heard that shit, I was like, God damn. Like, and I was shocked that Ross was on it because I knew Dre had that beat.
Right.
So when I heard Ross on it, I was like, oh, he slid it over to Ross. Like, but he's still on it though.
Right.
How did that even come about? Like,
man, you know, it's funny that you're asking me about it because at that time, I don't know, was that 2008, 9, 10, somewhere in there, I had a song deal with them with Aftermath. And I did a bunch of songs, you know, I was like, that was, I feel like in the later batch of stuff I did, but there's other records that I did that were really dope that I thought were even better than that just, you know, somebody's got them on their hard drive somewhere. But, so I hear, you know, oh, Dre's going to Miami because I wanted to work with Rick Ross. There was all this stuff on the internet. He gifted him a watch and all this shit. I don't know if you remember this.
I remember they gave him like a rollie,
So that's when they did the song. And, you know, I wasn't there. I'm not there for shit usually. But Brandon, who was the A&R, was like, man, Ross got this, you know, Dre did the song with Ross. Is really dope.
Yeah, Brandon was who brought me in.
Right. So, you know, it got to a point where I heard that a lot of different times. And if I was in LA, I wasn't going to hear the song. So you were one of the people that called me and was like, man, this shit with Ross and Dre, I hadn't heard it yet at that point. You know? And I just kind of chalked it up like, we're going to see, you know. I couldn't really get excited because I'd already been past that phase. In that situation. And then randomly I get a call like one night from Curtis, who was Dre's kind of right-hand person that handled the business, and was like, just super matter of fact, like, yeah, so they're using that on Rick Ross's album and Jay-Z's on it. And I was like, what? Like, so, and you know, the first time I hear it, I happened to be in New York. This first time I met Benny Blanco, I'm at his crib in New York, and it plays on Hot 97. And that's the first time I heard the song. Then I went out in the streets. Shit was playing everywhere. You know, just that whole weekend, I was like, oh my God, I had never had one like that.
Right.
at that point in my career. So it just was surreal, you know what I mean? So super grateful for it. I mean,
Yeah.
there was drama that happened with that song. We cleared the sample. It was a gospel sample. I'm assuming the writers and whoever was on the song must have signed a bad deal in the 70s, which, unfortunately, that's a lot of these
A lot of these
situations.
situations.
When we sample records, the money should be going to
the people
who
whose
wrote
record
the
we
damn
sampled.
song, right?
Right.
But their catalog had been swallowed up. They were pissed because, Ross is on there saying, come suck a dick for a millionaire and whatever craziness. Like, it's Ross, is what he does, right?
Right. Ross being
So,
Ross.
I got like a lawsuit in the mail from like Johnny Cochran Jr. over that shit.
Get the fuck out of here.
And, it went away, but I was like, hold on, I didn't even do nothing wrong. We cleared the sample, you know what I mean? But
wow.
I think they saw the names on it. The names were so majestic.
And big.
And, somehow I got lumped into that too. But yeah, it's one of those ones. It was definitely the first one I made, and that song led me to a lot of other people. Like, I think that one got Drake on my radar and some of the other people because they wanted something like that. Actually, I can't say that. I was already working with Drake before that, but he was excited that that I did that. I remember at the time, or Cole or whoever it was.
Right, it was a big record, man.
Yeah,
and it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned Benny Blanco because I'm a big fan of what he's done, and I found out like later on he grew up in Virginia. Like he was from Virginia.
He's from Virginia.
Because I always wanted to meet Benny Blanco. Like he was a super. I've been around other people that have been around him. Like Dr. Luke and Jay Cash. You know what I'm saying? But I never really met him, and I was always like, damn, like. Be dope to meet Benny, like, you know what I'm saying? Because we both from the same area.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I always big up Benny Blanco, man. Like, love what he's done in pop music and just in music in general.
I mean, and, I just got tied to him because one of my close friends was his manager. So, like, sometimes it's just how it works, right? So I ended up doing, like, the song for the weekend with him or, we did a couple other ones, too. But when I started being around those guys, I was just like, what I'm doing ain't shit. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Like, you feel like what you're doing is making an impact. And then you see what, I see why people go pop, but that shit gotta be in your heart, man. Like he knows when that shit's good. I couldn't even tell you. Like, my confession is kind of based on that too.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, let's get, I got a confession too, but I'm gonna let you get yours off. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna do the formal introduction as we get into it. Jake 1, what is your hip hop confession?
This is it's a very random one, but it just kind of also let me know that maybe my place wasn't on the other side of the business. I need to be in creative. A friend of mine signed Wiz Khalifa to Atlantic Records, and I was an A&R consultant for like a year over there. Okay. And I love the Cushion Orange Juice mixtape. I was just
classic.
I was like, man, this is like, because at that point I'm getting a little older, but he's making rap that like we could feel. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it wasn't. I don't know. He had good for beats. The stuff he was doing with Cardo, I was just all about that.
Right.
So I went to a session with my friend who's an A&R. He probably didn't remember this, but we went to Stargate Studio, and he was like, man, I'm going to get Stargate to work with Wiz. It's going to be big. And I was like so mad about it. I was like, why would you do that?
Right.
You got Cardo. Why, I wasn't really a fan of what they were doing. It was big, but it wasn't the shit that I liked.
Right.
Super hated on it. And, they end up doing like a Diamond song or whatever for it. So, there was other things that happened when I was at Atlantic and going to the meetings, which was a super eye-opening thing. I think me being in Seattle, I was totally detached from the music industry for the most part. I do my shit. I deal with whoever I deal with on the music side, but I'm not like friends with executives and all that bullshit. If I am, I known them when they were nobody, right?
Right. And then they ended up getting that job.
Right. Then they became that guy, and we still cool. There's actually a couple of those, but just sitting in the A&R meeting and just seeing how they lie to everybody, like, an artist will come in there, they'll be like, "It's great. I can't wait till we get your record out." They leave, they be like, "Man, who the fuck was that?" Like, I've really seen this shit happen before. And just open my eyes to the game. But yeah, my confession is that I didn't believe in Stargate and Wiz Khalifa making a hit. And if you really look at it, they might have shortened his career on a critical level by having big songs like that. I think if he'd have stuck with Cardo, he probably would have kept what he was. He would have kept his
grit,
coolness, like
coolness.
a little longer. But he also did the damn song with for the Fast and Furious. Is probably one of the biggest songs ever, which I would have actively hated on too. So
and I know an artist that passed on that song, and I was like, I don't know how the fuck you passed on that. That was no-brainer.
And I feel like there's a lot of those. I mean,
that's just like a billion. It's like a billion plays on like YouTube.
Right. So. And, there's also just, you realize at a certain point, like, man, I'm just not tapped into that stuff. This is just not for me, So how am I even going to give my opinion on it,
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Like,
but and there's been other artists that I was like, that shit ain't going to work. And, it happens,
Right. And Wiz went on to fucking do goddamn numbers with that record.
Oh, my God. Like, yeah, it was crazy. But
sometimes it's like every now and then there's records that you hear and you step back from them and you go, damn, I wish I had I had a hand in that one because that one went. You know what I mean? Like, but if it's if it's not in the cards for you, it's just not in the cards for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just funny because it's not, this is a hip hop. Like I said, we both come from hip hop. We've made a lot of hip hop, but it's not too many people that I can even have the pop conversations with because they don't even know that world. You know what I'm saying?
It's just different and like it's not. I mean, for what I like, it's not better, but
yeah,
you have to think the world is a generic place,
right?
And what touches the most amount of people is going to make the most money. It's just like
that's just the common law
nature of the shit,
right?
What my random hip hop confession opinion? I don't even know if it's a confession because I feel like I fight people on this all the time. Is that I like the second Ultramagnetic album better than the first.
I don't agree with you on that.
It's just maybe because I heard that one first. I just liked it more.
Yeah.
And
I don't even remember the name of the second Ultramagnetic.
Fuck your head up. See?
Yeah, nah.
But I think the way we come into, if that's the first one you hear, then you think that's better than the first one,
right. It's people that think that it was written is better than Illmatic.
Right. And that to me, I'm not on board on that one at all. But
I've had plenty of arguments in the barbershop. Like Illmatic was cool. I'm like, bro, Illmatic was it. Fuck you talking about? They're like, nah, Skillz.
And I think like from a producer standpoint, I'm listening to it from a whole different way than like
right.
And that's a lot of my opinions are shaped on that. If I don't like the beat, I don't care what's being said.
Right,
it means
right.
Nothing to me. You know
I can't get past that part.
Right.
And it's funny to me. I think I just saw like in the recent press, like Pete Rock is like suing Nas or some shit, and I'm just like, how did we get here? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean,
such a hip hop classic, and I'm looking at the Time Is Ill documentary, like, bro, you in the doc, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like
that. I mean. Here's the part I don't get. Like, you can't, like, Nas doesn't administer his own catalog.
Right. That's his first album. That shit was 1990.
I'm sure he had a horrible deal. MC Serge probably took all the money. It's like the same story we always hear.
Maybe it was just clickbait. But I looked at it like Pete Rock is suing Nas.
I think sometimes when they go into it, they attach it to whoever the big person is,
Because you was the person I went in the studio and did music with. So it's you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I've had a couple people.
Like, Nas is not doing the calculations on who recouped and whatever. Like, that's so beyond what any artist is doing.
Yeah, no. And and I tell people all the time, nobody knew that they was making history when they was making it. You just hoped. But you didn't fucking know. Berry Gordy didn't know that Motown was going to be that. He just was like, yo, we going to do what we feel is right and what our people will enjoy.
You ever sue anybody to get your royalties, like, for the stuff you wrote?
Nah. I just threaten a lot of motherfuckers.
Right. It's a lot of threatening. I feel like we do a lot of hollow threats. There's some hostile emails and stuff. But suing somebody, the effort that takes and the money you got to put up to sue somebody is
it's
not
a lot of money.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, if what I'm suing you for doesn't even make, I'm probably going to pay more to sue you than what I'm going to get. It's not even worth the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I guess sometimes people see things and they swear up and down that shit made a whole lot of money. I'm like, bro, you might want to look into the books. That was
you
a
might
sample.
Want to recalibrate.
Right, that was a sample.
This is what I'm thinking about World Is Yours. I thought the same thing. Like, okay, it's a sample.
Right.
It's not a hit. It was a hit of its time. It's a classic.
But it wasn't like a hit.
This is how we do it, Montel Jordan or some shit.
Yeah. It wasn't fucking We Are the World. You know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't fucking feed African babies. Like,
I mean, I want P Rock to get as much money as possible.
Me too. That he's a legend. Producer, legend. So I just don't know if he's gonna get it from that one.
Yeah, you're probably right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah, man. Like, working. Like I said, it's not too many people that I can discuss like pop music with on this podcast because I've always paid a lot of attention to it. It's clearly, when I did the Nicki record that I did, and that was a pop record, and I watched Taylor Swift sing my fucking hook on MTV. I was like I'm from Virginia, bro. Like that don't happen if you ain't Pharrell. You know what I'm saying? Right. You don't get to Taylor Swift. You know what I'm saying? Nicki Minaj maybe.
Especially not the dude that made Skillz in 95.
Right.
Like, come on, like that guy? Like,
So I was always admirers and just watchers of people like, Max Martin and Luke and Dennis Pop all the way back to the Ace of Base days and how all of these people came from Sweden. You know what I'm saying? Like, and why
I still don't get that part. I don't get it.
It's just crazy to me, man. Like, so wild that the biggest pop producers in the world are all from the same country. Right. You know what I'm saying? Britney Spears and shit. Like, it's just super crazy to me. But that's just being a fan of music. You know what I'm saying? So I love it to death. So, but yeah, man. So that's a ill ass confession. Like, you just
it's just random. I mean, like, I think we're in an era that everybody is a fucking armchair A&R and they got it all figured out. And it's different when you make a decision. I mean, I could have probably signed somebody to Atlantic in 2000. This sounds like 2010. And I didn't sign shit. I really was just getting paid to do nothing. I'd sit in the meeting and watch Jeezy read USA Today. I was just like, this is crazy, like.
It's just weird that, sometimes we have such the people people on the outside have such a distorted perception of what happens behind these doors, and
right.
And I'm like, yo, sometimes like y'all have no clue. All they doing is paying attention to what y'all doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially now. I
feel like now it's
like,
there are certain Twitter accounts that they're like, if such and such like this shit, we're signing it.
Right. Off the rip. Or if they got this many followers, we signing this shit. We can get a hit on anybody. And that's what I was just watching this thing on Vice called A Black Market that Michael K. Williams was hosting before.
Is that the shit about the streaming farm?
Yes. And I already knew about streaming farms and how to juke the numbers. But, the average consumer is like, wait, this is real? And I'm like, yes, this is real. Like, and I tell people all the time, listen, you can fake the views, you can fake the followers, you can fake the plays, but you can't fake making people care. Like, that's a whole different thing.
Right.
Like, you can fake all that shit, but when you come to my town and it's only 200 people there, like, and no merch moves, like, and nobody says, yo, so-and-so in the city today. Mm-hmm. Like, when that shit don't happen,
right,
all of that shit was fake.
Right.
So numbers
can't
never
even
lie.
really fake a hit. Like, at this point,
right.
They can start it a certain way, but the people really choose the shit, which is what makes it great. Like, there's songs that would have just been an album cut. I feel like I benefited from this a bunch of times. Where, like, I was always making the album cuts. I wasn't making no shit for the radio. So, like, I've had ones that went where, like, it was the people that chose it. They didn't go into it thinking, oh, this is a hit.
Right.
You know, they don't.
You got to
No.
listen. The people will tell you what your single is if you give them enough time.
I think it's good for artists too because they throw the whole thing out there and then they choose. Whereas before,
Right.
you would have to pick that one song, and if it was a
Yeah.
dud, shit's
Yeah.
over for you.
Yeah.
you
On
know?
to the next one. If you get a next one.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's wild, man. So, all right. So my confession, because we have a common connection that a lot of people, it's not even a lot of people, most fucking people don't know.
Right.
When I was rapping early on, I had a few friends and family, and they connected me with this was when I was on Raucous, and they connected me with a person that ended up becoming. I did some songs with him, and he ended up becoming my DJ when I went on tour, and off and on. He always had records. He was like, I seen him knock shit down. I seen him with the SP 1200, 950. He was always at the record conventions, all that shit. I went to his crib fucking records everywhere. So I never doubted that he was talented and had a good ear. He knew, that skull snaps. Oh, those drums are from da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, Q-Tip took the drums off of da-da-da. Yeah, that's Lonnie Liston Smith. He knew all that shit. He was a head producer.
Right.
I took him on the road with me in 2002, and I'll never forget it. This is when 50 Cent was on fire. And my manager called me and said, yo, you going on tour with 50 Cent. And I'm like, first of all, that shit don't even make sense. I'm not even that type of artist.
Right.
But fuck it. They like, yo, you got the slot. And it was a bunch of other people that wanted it, but you gonna do this 50 Cent tour. He going 40 cities all over the US. Fucking pack. I didn't even have a tour bus. We packed up a fucking RV. I was on Raucous, and we tell Raucous like, yo, make it work. Cause I'm not Koali. So they like, okay, we do tour support, but we ain't about to get him no bus. We don't even know if this shit's gonna fly. And my manager's like, he's on tour with the biggest fucking artist in the world right now. He's on Shady Aftermath. Fuck you mean? Like, let's blow the bag. Raucous, Brian and Jared was like, all right, we'll put up some money. We figured out the money and was like, all right, we can't do a bus. We're going to do a fucking RV. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm going to sell merch. I'm going to sell my mixtapes. These motherfuckers might come to the show not knowing who I am, but they're going to leave knowing who I am.
Right.
50, I don't even know if 50 had a clue I was even on the tour till like halfway through the shit. It's like, you don't even know who the fuck the opener is.
Right.
And I'm doing every gig. Me, my DJ, and my road manager. My manager didn't even go. He got me a road manager and a driver, a truck driver who drove the RV. Some of the best times of my life was on that fucking tour, right?
Yeah.
I love the tour, and I've always told the story about how I've told a story in the previous podcast, I think with KP and No ID, where the guy on Raucous wanted me to go meet E40. And I'm like, I don't want to do I don't want to do a record with E40. Like, I don't like his songs. I'm not really a fan. Like, and they like Skillz. Trust me, E40 is the dude out here. Like, if he get on your song, you gonna have a popping song in the Bay. Just go meet him. And I'm like, I pressed against it. I go to E40's house. An hour later, I'm like, yo, this is one of the nicest fucking guys I ever met in my life.
1,000%.
Super, super trill, down to earth, just a cool ass dude. I'm in his crib. It's the night of the Grammys. I'll never forget it. Whatever year that was, the Grammys was on TV. We were watching the Grammys on a small TV in his studio, and my DJ starts playing some beats. He's like, yo, you make beats? He's like, yeah. My DJ plays him some beats. He's going through the beats. E40's like, that shit right there popping, cuzzo. This shit right here, this shit is a whoop-de-woo. He's just using this slang and shit. And he gets to this one beat. He's like, run that back. My DJ ran it back. He was like, hey, cuzzo, this shit right here a slapper. Like, I don't know if y'all East Coast boys know about this, but over here, this one right here, this a motherfucking whoppity-woo-ho. Like, he just saying shit and he vibing. I could see him vibing to the beat. And he like, hey, Mad Skillz, you gonna spit something on this thing? This a goddamn slapper, cuzzo. And I'm sitting there like, Yeah, fuck it. Pull it up. So he tells his engineer, yo, 2-track that thing, Brody. They put the fucking MP3 into the joint, and I'm at E40's house writing the rap. Write the song. I write the hook. I think it was called "We in the Building" or some shit. It's like it was a catchy hook. E40 put a verse on it, and we left. I left it where it was. I find out later that my DJ did not do that beat. That beat was stolen from Jake 1. And then it came down to people telling me like, oh no, Skillz, he do this shit all the time. Like he a jacker. Like he played my joint for fucking, bro got the fucking song, let us cut to it. And I'm on tour with 50 Cent. And I can't remember if he gave this, I think he gave the same beat CD to Sha Money.
Yeah.
Sha Money XL. Sha Money plays the beats. I think Yayo and them was fucking with it. 50 was fucking with it. And the same beat ended up on Beg for Mercy album. And I was like, and that's when the shit went crazy because it was like, you was like, yo, that's my beat. Like not a co-pro. I didn't do that shit with nobody. Like that's me playing bump, bump, bump. That's all me. Like, yo, this motherfucker just took my shit. Now, mind you, I don't know where this dude is now. I haven't talked to him in years. I definitely stopped fucking with him on that regard. I don't know nothing about him, but I just remember being like, damn, bro, you almost had me out here looking crazy. First of all, I was looking crazy at E40's house, but I didn't know. But I remember going, who the fuck is Jake 1? Like my manager was like, nah, dude, it's this dude in Seattle that made that beat. Like we going through some bullshit about it now. Like Shot Money XL hit me up. Like, and I'm like, yo, that's the same dude that he was on tour with Skillz. Like, I know how he got the beat. You know what I'm saying? But yo, I manage producers, bro, who take that shit super serious. That's not his shit. So he was doing a lot of the legwork behind how the fuck, who said they did what? What? So I think he was the first person to approach him. You know me, I'm on the road. I'm trying to make an album. I'm oblivious to any of this shit.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't got nothing to do with you. Like, anyway,
right.
So, it's not your fault. Like, I mean, you know what's kind of crazy in retrospect, 2022 lens, this is what mad people do and do it now successfully.
Right.
And I think, I honestly don't even have a problem with it at this point. Like, I'm like, he got it to him. You know what I mean? There's value in that. And there's a lot of records I've done the past 20 years that somebody was in the studio that got him to cut it. So they produced it in that way. You know what I mean?
How did he get the beat from you? Were y'all like swapping?
Man, this is just like in that time, I just was giving everybody my beats because I'm here. I'm in Seattle.
Right.
We didn't have nothing really going on to that degree. So the way I thought I would get chances is just to give whoever my beats. And it did work,
Right, it did in that regard.
I made enough noise where people start caring, but producers used to just do that back then. I don't know if it's like that as much now.
How did you find out? When and how did you find out that 50 Cent
about the G Unit thing?
Yeah.
He told your DJ told me, and I was under the impression that he, because he told me he added stuff to the beat. I'm like, cool, whatever. I'm good with it, And then I heard the record. I'm like, hold on, it's the exact same beat. And I feel like if he just would have been upfront about it, I wouldn't even have tripped because I'm like, I know how hard it is to get the record into people's hands like that.
So they got the files. They didn't record to a 2-track. They got the files.
They did initially, and I know I sent the files
later.
This was early Pro Tools days, right?
Mm-hmm.
He might have ended up running with the 2-track because I know a lot of times 50 in general would just not like how the mix sounded
And stay with the 2-track.
Stay with the 2-track.
And he's talking about a guy who's rapping over a lot of mixtape shit to get on.
He just liked he liked, you know, he'd fall in love with however the song was.
Yeah, the reference, the raw.
But you know, I ended up meeting Shy Money, and he, you know, it's funny. Like I think that shit was happening so often that it didn't even register on. He didn't care. It was like, you know,
right.
He was like, well, I've been trying to get to you. He started managing me maybe like a year after that.
Dope.
Yeah, and I had a lot of success with them, and it was really
you definitely did a lot of dope G Unit records.
How I started was really with them, you know, as far as on a commercial nationwide level. But yeah, there's a lot of dudes that don't make their beats now. I mean, like there's a lot of dudes they're just good A&Rs damn near, you know what I mean, and you know how to wiggle and get in the room with whoever it is, and there's value in that, you know, like I think when dudes that don't make beats start talking all this Quincy Jones shit, I don't like that because Quincy Jones can write charts of music and shit. It's not the same thing, you know.
Right.
Like,
it's not.
Like, but I don't know. Maybe it's just as you get older, you just like some things just don't matter as much. You know what I mean? I feel like my old backpacker brain was like, nah, I just said DJ Premier. That's the only person that should be on the beat. If he did the beat, you know. That's who it should be. And now it's dope, man. I share credit with people all the time. I don't even care. Like, honestly, it should mean it's more obviously, you know, I'm trying to get to whatever the financial part of it is.
Right.
You know, whatever's going to make the best song.
Right. I tell people all the time, like when me and, you know, my crew, when we record, you know, we're in the room and we're making songs and we're pulling up beats and we're laying down hooks and ideas. It's always like whoever was in the room. You know what I'm saying? If you was in the room, cool. Like that's pop rules, you know. Like I didn't know it was like that until I started working on more of the pop side, and I'm like, and sometimes I got a bigger percentage of some shit that I probably didn't deserve. Yeah. You know, I mean, shit. I mean, another random confession. There was a song I did in a writing camp that Beyonce cut to, and I was actively hating on the song when we did it. I just didn't like it. And, you know, it ended up coming out not with her, but with somebody else. I got some good licenses off it. It's like, cool. Right. You know, but there's also been times I feel like I did the bulk of the work and maybe got a little less. So, Right. It's like it almost evens out. I just tell people, like, if you in here with us and you're writing or producing, well, most of the time we just write to beats. The beats are already made. So it's like if it's 3 of us in here, then we split it 3 ways. I'm not about to sit here and go, well, I came up with the first 2 bars of the hook. I need that 7.8%. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like we all splitting this shit down the middle. Like fuck that shit. Like I'm not about like because the money part will fuck up the creative part before we even get creative. Right. So I'm like, if you walking in here talking about percentages, bro, it's just beats playing. Fuck you talking about. Right. Like, ain't nobody made nothing yet. We can't own a percentage of nothing that ain't created. Right. So if we all in here, if you was in the room, and I'm a person, I have a fucking photographic memory of remembering exactly what I contributed. Right. But I never go, well, I'm the person that. Fuck all that. Like, bro, like you did this, I did. Like, bro, we splitting this shit down the middle. Like on some Chad and Pharrell shit. Like, fuck that shit. Like, and you know, like it's the proper way to do it. It doesn't. And I remember, you know, in the times I was coming up, I'd be like, I'll go to like the studio in New York with like a big producer, and it's a dude in there making all the beats, and his name wouldn't even be on the shit. Right. Playing every instrument on that shit. And I'm like, damn, how is this going down? Right. You know, so like. It just kind of conditions you to accept anything when you're trying to get on, right? Yeah. Yeah, man. A lot of people have been down that road. You know what I'm saying? I've been a person who was writing shit and looked up in the credits and, you know, my shit wasn't there. My splits wasn't there. And I'm just like, damn, so motherfuckers just took my shit. Like I know what I wrote, you know what I'm saying? So after a while, I just started paying attention to the publishing side and how to make sure that, I don't know, like I gotta have somebody represent me to make sure that my shit is taken care of. You know what I mean? Or else I'm not gonna be in the room. You know what I mean? For sure. So yeah, I'm not that. I definitely could have been that artist where you're like, yeah, here go Benz, and I'm like, all right, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, but not now. But
Yeah,
back
you
in the
can't.
day.
I mean, you think of like what an '80s rap deal was, and it was like,
oh God, even the 90s, early
Yeah.
90s rap deal.
outlandishly bad. Like
Yeah, horrible.
so it's. I mean, I know a lot of the older generation, people of our era, they don't like the music of now. But at least what they're doing, they are capitalizing on this shit
Yeah.
harder than anybody ever has in the past.
And they getting paid.
They're
And
really getting paid.
I can't be mad at a young black man using his art to get paid and get his mom a house and take care of his family.
The artists are getting their fair share at this point.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
like,
know
I
about the
can't-
producers. I feel like we could be getting a little more, but that's
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
only you create your own situation.
Yeah, man.
basically with that.
For sure, man. I always think about, the times that, I watch people want to be in this business and want to get into this game and maybe not knowing exactly what it entails or how it was going to go. But it was very beneficial to just pay attention to a lot of things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And just listen to the OGs sometimes too. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Yeah. Speaking of OGs, man, how is Vitamin D, man? Like how's
He's
how's
doing
the homie?
great. He's doing great, man. He lives down the street from me. I see him all the time.
Bro, one of my greatest memories, man, was going to your studio in Seattle, and you had me in this. You showed me the room. I'm in the room. I think you stepped out for a minute, and he was like, "All right, Skillz, I'll be right back, man." I was like, "All right, cool." And I heard this fucking beat playing, and I heard this beat, and I'm just like, is it another spot? Like somebody got the door open or some shit? And I fucking start walking. I remember this shit so vividly. I start walking down the hallway and I'm hearing the illest chop of Knee Deep that I've ever heard in my life. I've never heard nobody chop Knee Deep like that. I walk by the door and the door is wide open. And it's this guy in a sweater vest and a fucking Applejack hat. He looked like Rudy from Fat Albert. He's got some weed on the table and he's putting the weed in his blunt. He's moving his weed, and I'm in the doorway snapping like, "Woo, yo!" And he just looks up so calm. He looks up at me. He's like, he got his weed, and he's like, "Oh, you fuck with that?" I'm in the door snapping. And I'm like, yo. And I start walking towards the computer and I see that it's on Logic. And I'm like, how did he do this on Logic Pro X? I've never heard nobody chop me. I still have the beat. I played that beat for Pharrell. Pharrell called Snoop one night. We played that beat for Kendrick, I kept, because I was like, I'm not a West Coast nigga. Like, this shit belongs to a West Coast nigga. I remember I would call Vitamin D like, yo, I gave this shit to Pharrell. He's like, all right, bet. He was super cool. I said, bro, Pharrell called Snoop. Like, he's like, all right, cool. Like, I pushed that beat, me and Pharrell pushed that beat to so many fucking West Coast motherfuckers. Nobody ever bit that I knew of, to that avail. But I play that beat at the do-over just in my set. And motherfuckers is like, because it starts off regular like Knee Deep. And then it goes into the chop and then it slows down about 92 BPMs. And it's like, it's one of the craziest beats I ever heard in my life. Vitamin D, shout out to Vitamin D, man.
He's been putting out like a lot of tapes of him doing stuff
flips.
like that.
I follow him. So I've been seeing his flips.
Yeah, they're stupid. And then I think the other thing he did that people just don't know is he did the Power theme song.
Yes.
Which is kind of taking off
this is a big rich town.
Taking on a whole different life of its own.
What's crazy is I remember one year I did the wrap up. Power was the hottest show on TV. I was doing the wrap up. I was beefing with the dude from New York who was fucking with 50 of them, and I hit Vitamin D up like, yo, you did that beat? He was like, yeah. I was like, send me the instrumental. He's like, say less. He sent me the instrumental, and I rapped over the Power beat for one of the wrap-ups. And I remember motherfuckers being like, how the fuck did he get the beat for Power? Vitamin D.
Right. Yeah. That was actually done in that old studio. That was about the time.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it was that old. Yeah, he made that. Damn, maybe, I don't know, 2008, 2009, something like that.
Such a beautiful beat too, man.
Yeah, that beat was the shit.
Joe did the perfect vocals on it. And of course, nobody knew what it was going to be, that 50 was going to use it for the show, but it ended up taking in the life of its own. Bro, Bro, it's DJ sets where I'll play an edit that I have of that Lonnie B made, that Lonnie B and DJ Swift made, that goes into the Timbaland shit, the boo doo doo doo.
Yeah.
Boo doo doo doo. So I'll play
that beat.
Play that joint, let the Jay-Z part rap. The Jay-Z part goes, and Jay-Z goes, I'm about $1. What the fuck is... I pull the shit down, let the crowd say, what the fuck is 50 Cent? And then play, this is a big rich town. Motherfuckers be like, oh, shit, because they never heard the Power song in the club. But we all know it. So I play it in the club, bro. Like, it's such a dope song, man.
That's so dope.
It kind of sets the mood to where people go, like, yo, this DJ is pretty fucking good. Like, he know what the fuck he doing. Like, this is gonna be a dope night. But yeah, shout Vitamin D, man. That song and that beat is still one of the most incredible things I ever heard in my life.
Yeah, I mean, he's like somebody, when I first started making beats, he was just the guy around here, had equipment, was making songs. You know, he was just way ahead of where I was. Like, I saw his group perform when I was a freshman in high school, and he's probably a junior maybe. And I just remember thinking, like, hold on.
Yeah, I remember you told me that. Right.
Yeah. So, like, you know, it's crazy how many years, you know, we've both been at it at this point. You know, there's different eras of like, oh, 2010, I thought, like, that seemed like we had been doing it a long time at that point.
Right.
And now it's 2022. You know, we're working on shit right now. So.
Right. Because I remember asking you, I was like, yo, who is that guy? You was like, no, that's my OG. Like, you was like, bro, the first time I ever saw Technique turntables, they were his. Like that's how long he's been doing this. The first set of turntables I ever saw, they were his turntables. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, man, his rap group was super dope. This group called Ghetto Children, like people in Seattle didn't get that chance at that point. You know what I mean? They even had a deal with Geffen, maybe pre-Roots.
Wow.
So it was a long ass time ago, you know. Like, they went down to LA, did what was it, like a demo deal or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think they worked with the Dust Brothers, which was super random at the time. But yeah, I mean, you know, everybody, you know, you do this long enough, you just see these things.
Yeah, it's going to just
play out.
Like, for sure, man.
Yeah.
Well, shit, man. I thank you for pulling up, man. I've been wanting to get you on for a while. Thank you.
Yeah, I really like the podcast. Like I told you, man. The one with Dion, where he's talking about the bitch you and all that, I was like, oh, you know.
Right.
I think there's certain eras, you know, it's like, it's just an age thing. Like, you really care. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, man, he's a good friend of the show, man. I just talked to him yesterday, actually.
Yeah, good dude.
We've been working on some stuff.
You know, I actually went to his house in 97.
Really?
In Chicago. I think before, you know, I was making beats, but I was a record dude, and I would meet people like in other cities. So my friends in Toronto, we went to Chicago, met up with him, went to his crib. He gave me the One Day It All Makes Sense album and his album on a tape, like a year before it came out.
Wow.
You know, didn't even know it's like that, you know?
Right.
And I'll never forget that. Every time I see him, I always remind him, I was in your house. I still got pictures of it.
That's dope, man.
That was a big deal, you know, for me at that time.
Yeah, that's one of my good friends, man. No IDs and a super genuine dude. Like, very matter of factly. I love that guy, man. Very matter of factly. Well, yo, bro, I appreciate you coming up, man. Listen, let the people know, you know, where they can get you, how they can connect with you, your social media and whatnot.
I'm Jake Uno on everything. So,
okay.
You know, Twitter, Instagram. I don't really do Facebook much.
Me
either. I can't
stand it.
Gets a little wild on there. So
what you got new in the fold, man? Any new? What's up with the tuxedo shit, man? Like,
man, we just started working on that. Some new songs. We just did some new songs in Miami. Hopefully next year, maybe do that again. I mean, I got songs with everybody coming. Hopefully, I mean, you know how that goes.
Right, yeah.
I found like a new love for making beats again, so I was back on that hard during the quarantine. So
dope, man. Dope. Well, we looking forward to hearing everything that you drop, man. Big fans of what you're doing, and I appreciate you pulling up, man. You already know what it is.
Thank you, man.
Brother. Yes, sir.
I'll hit you.
Yes, sir. This has been Hip Hop Confessions. Cause everybody got one.
Here's a little story that must be told.
And it goes a little something like this.